Hello and welcome to Unbounded Growth, a podcast that challenges you to grow and become a better version of yourself. My name is Mark Allen, and together with my friend Adam, we share thoughts and ideas from the books that we read and how they enhance our personal growth and development. We also host other readers and leaders. We learn from their experiences through our discussions. Our episodes air every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for listening in, and let's grow together. Unbounded Growth. Hello and welcome back to Unbounded Growth. Thank you for joining us again. Good morning and happy Tuesday. My name is Mark Allen Muteba and I'm your host. I'm here with my always good friend, my co-host, Adam Shabindo. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. You and I spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things today before we started recording this episode. A lot of projects going on with Bora Technology. Creating a vacation camp in Congo about technology. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been my childhood dream, if I can say, actually, ever since I was a kid. The idea of just making technology accessible or making the dream, like selling the dream of accessibility to technology or developing technology, bringing it to a basically everyday kid. I remember being in high school at College Mwanga, and I had a group of my friends where in today's, I guess, narrative, you can call them quote unquote nerds.
Right.
So we're one of those, a few of those kids who really just love technology. We loved to have access to anywhere we can touch anything technological. I remember at College Mwanga would even have a chemistry lab or physics lab.
Yeah, it used to be crazy like that.
Yeah, it used to be you learn everything, but you just have like all these theoretical knowledge without any application whatsoever.
Right.
But now we are giving the kids of Goma an opportunity to just be around technology, just hang out, build something, make a robot, or make just something that they'll feel proud of. We have a few projects we're having with those kids where they're just going to solve some of their local problems. Like there's a fire somewhere. What is that system that you can build that is sending a notification to the police, for example, instantaneously? A kid can build that just in a second, and just in a clap of a hand. Stuff like that. So
what's amazing about what you're saying is makes me again very grateful to be in the United States of America today. I remember growing up in the Congo, Eastern Congo, like even our education system, most schools do not have libraries. And libraries building exists, called library, but inside of it, like some books that were written in the late 60s, in the late 70s, like the most up-to-date books sometimes are not very available to kids out there. Talking about having a chemistry class without a chemistry lab.
Exactly.
It sounds a little crazy, but I think it's one of the reasons why most immigrants, when we come to a country that is blessed as the United States, everything is a blessing to us.
Absolutely.
You take me to a community college, it's a shame to other people. I'm like, this is 10 times better than most of the schools that I could have attended back home. And of course, we are seeing a lot of schools stepping up and a lot of money being redirected to the education system, which is also helping. But yeah, I'm definitely grateful and thankful to be in America, where studied everything that I did in college, not only theoretically, but I could actually practice and see how that was working.
Absolutely. And just giving those kids that opportunity and that chance to just enlighten themselves. I remember actually first time teaching a kid how to code, just write basic code, and you just see like the look in their face when their first code worked.
It's like a light.
It's like a light. Oh, it's one of the best thing in the world actually to look at. You look at just that's why I was actually telling you earlier that I'm excited for one day having my own kids, where like they're 3-4 years old, and I can put some of this knowledge in their minds and teaching them all these basic things that they can have for the rest of their life. I always say I'm very biased when it comes to my mathematical sciences and so on, right? So I just say just the only thing that makes sense is my kids to be good at math, so they would start getting those mathematical knowledge at a very early age, and they can branch out to study whatever they want to study in the future.
But just have the knowledge.
But they should have the knowledge at the basic level. So giving those kids an opportunity to have access to mathematical sciences and access to direct technology, application of math into technology. They are learning basic algebra. How is that basic algebra adding up to actually technology today.
Absolutely. And this is just a reminder again that you can always support those kids by donating to Unbounded Growth. And all your donation goes toward the education of those kids in the Congo, and you're making a difference in the world. So thank you for joining us. So going back to our reading, last week we talked about a few chapters. You can achieve anything you want in life if you learn to eat a frog. If you just learn how tasty a frog can be, and the wonderful lessons that are in this book. Actually, the title by Tracy is "Eat That Frog," and it's the 21 great ways to stop procrastination and getting more done in less time. Actually, one of the reasons why we don't achieve as much as we want to is because we procrastinate. But why do we procrastinate? What are the reasons why we procrastinate? That's a subject that can be a podcast in itself. But we just want to teach you share with you, not teach you, pretty much share with you the lessons that we're learning from this book. And, went back to this book, reading it for the second time now and trying to reapply the lessons that I learned about a year ago. It was just amazing of how many things I was able to accomplish and how many things that I pushed back and I was able to accomplish this week particularly. And last time we talked about practicing creative procrastination. That was the last thing that we talked about. And creative procrastination is about procrastinating the thing that is pushing you to procrastinate. Let's say, for example, you want to use your Instagram account while you also have to get your homework done or a work project done. You push back using your Instagram account to a later time. You procrastinate that, and that's the way you practice creative procrastination.
And one of the things that I would also add there is just the idea of intentionality. That's one of the things that I've actually learned on that specific area, and that's actually I've been working on for these several weeks ever since I started reading this book. Or I already finished the book a long time ago, but now I'm just repeating
it.
And the few things that came to me on that specific part is just the power of intentionality. A lot of these acts that we kind of just pushing or giving a lot of priority for, we are not intentional about it. It's by habit. It's something you want to be on Instagram. You just pick up your phone. It's the easiest access possible. You're accessing it, and directly you're already on there. The next time you know, the 3 hours you're supposed to get to work, you have spent it on Instagram. It's so intentional. So it's the same idea as practicing creative procrastination. You can actually be now intentional about getting some work done. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit down in a few chapters down the road, where he's talking about actually how to increase and maximize your productivity. It's a few practices that I've tried to practice myself and tried to apply to my own life, and I've seen some positive results.
And Adam, what's crazy is that all the time that we spend on social media, there's actually a guy that wrote a book that we probably review in the future. The title of the book is 10 Reasons for Quitting Social Media. It says you probably don't need 10, but he will give you 10 anyways, And one of the things it says is that psychologists came together with technologists to bring these devices that will keep your attention longer. And by you browsing your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, your WhatsApp status, or your YouTube videos, you realize that everything pushes you to stay there. They want your attention because science has proven, math has proven that the more attention you give them, the more likely you are to purchase something out there. And it comes back to that, to money and to management. So putting sometimes those limits on how much time you're spending on social media, or even how much time you're using your phone, can actually help you in your creative procrastination. I realized, for example, that I used to struggle with this before, then I didn't struggle with it, then I started struggling with it. Most of us, if you're guilty, it's okay. The first thing we do when we wake up, we check our phones.
Yep.
And what do we check? We check the notifications. And sometimes you spend 15, 20 minutes in bed. Instead of you getting your day started, we are there like checking the notifications, sometimes of people that we don't care about and don't care about us. Well, whatever the reason may be, you may be checking the news, you may be checking all that. but should that be the first thing we do every morning? So let's learn to practice creative procrastination in the sense that, hey, if in the morning the first thing you do is check your phone, maybe try drinking a cup of water. You say, okay, I will. And we talk about that in the power of atomic habits.
Atomic habits, actually,
that when breaks it down really good.
Yeah, when he's talking about it, he's one of the things that I want to add here, and we're going to talk about it more even in atomic habits when it comes to practice creative procrastination, is tracking your habits.
Yep. That's important.
If you can write down, what did I do? What are these habits? When I wake up in the morning, what do I do? Then you can know how to push something. Then you can be very intentional because you know exactly what you do and you are aware and you are very intentional about it. Whereas a lot of things that we do actually, and I find myself doing that a lot. When I read Atomic Habits and it started working on my life, I made a lot of changes when it came to that aspect. And then I moved to a new location, new apartment,
and you forgot
new
everything.
place. Then it's kind of like everything just kind of, my habits that I was like really good at now. I was so proud of myself after Atomic Habits. I spent about 2 months. My productivity was great. I was journaling. Everything was so amazing. Keeping track of everything I do. All the techniques, pretty much, that's one book I applied. Probably like 80% of the stuff that he put in there. And I kind of I've learned throughout the years, I've learned the 80-20 rules, right? Yeah, so 80% of the stuff in the book I felt really useful. I've applied them and they worked. So that's book we can maybe discuss it later. But one of the things here is that can help us on here is to be intentional
about
things, about what you do.
Yeah,
with procrastination. When you're intentional, then you feel bad about it.
Right.
And when you feel bad about it, then you start pushing back some other things. You kind of take them as like a reward. Like I'm rewarding myself for 15 minutes on social media because I did so and so. And he talks about it more. We're gonna get to that chapter, and he discusses it more near, I think, when he talks about social media in chapter, I think 15 and 16. And yeah.
Absolutely, and in chapter 6, it starts by giving this I call it funny and maybe easy to remember method, ABCDE, ABCDE, pretty much. Yeah. That's the method. Say use the ABCD method continually. And there's a quote here that I really like how he broke it down. He said the first law of success is concentration, to bend all energies to one point and to go directly to that point, looking neither to the right nor to the left. William Matthews, that's the guy who said it. You know, I read this book by Carl Newport, I believe that's his name, and the title of the book is Deep Work. In that book, he makes one solid statement. It says that in the near future, people who will be paid more are people who will be able to focus for a longer period of time. And we're already seeing that in society today. People who are more productive at work are people who are able to focus, to really put their head down on their work for a longer period of time. And in this social media world where everybody, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these giant bigs there are trying to, giant technology out there are trying to get your attention. And if you can bend all your energies, all your focus to a single point, your work in particular, for example, or whatever task is at hand, then you are more likely to go to advance your career, to advance in your studies, to go a little farther than all of your peers, if you're able to do that.
Yeah, and he adds something here when he talks about the ABCDE rule. It say basically rank your task, rank whatever it is that you are supposed to do, from A, B, C, D, and E. A being the most important one that you could start for. And then he said, focus on a task. And the other thing he added, they say, practice doing the main job every day. What you are supposed to do, practice that, make it a habit of you getting the most important job done every day.
And I like the way he breaks it down when he say focus on the 8 tasks. He say, you know, if you have one suggestion he gives, he say think on paper. Don't try to process everything in your mind. Your brain is so much, it's so powerful, but it's also bombarded with a lot of information every single day. The amount of thoughts that you have every day, I think is about 5,000, 10,000. Like every single day you are bombarded with so many thoughts. that your brain sometimes cannot keep up of all these important things. So it's important to think on paper. As a matter of fact, science has proven that when you go to the grocery store and you have a list, you tend to spend less than if you go to the grocery store without a list, because everything that pops in your way, you want to get it. But when you have a list, you know specifically that I'm getting 2 carrots, 5 banana, and 3 apples, and you know where those apples or those items are. You are less likely to to wander around the store looking for things that you didn't even go to look for. So think on paper.
Yeah, and I'm going to share kind of a personal experience with that. And I think I shared that with you, Mark, just when we were discussing, is that when you talk about think on paper, when you talk about writing things down, in college, we're often given a cheat sheet, an equation sheet where you could write. Actually, I took fluid mechanics class where the teacher say, write everything you can think of. And those people who still managed to get a 7 on the exam. The exam was hard, to be honest.
Wow.
Fluid mechanics is one of the hardest classes I took in both in undergrad and in grad school. It was just really a pain. But they'll ask us for an equation sheet. And I was horrible at making those things. In high school in Congo, we don't do equation sheets. Everything is coming straight up from your mind. And you wonder why the standard of grading and everything has to be 50% for you to pass is because they are not expecting you at any time to reach perfection. In America, they push you here to perfection. They're trying you to get 100. They're trying you to get an A or something within those margins. In Congo, they are not looking for you to actually try to even do perfect. That's why also it's actually a sign of development as well, because people who develop are people who look for excellence and people who look for perfection. So something that I noticed actually is that I actually tried an experience. This is a direct experience that I have tried. At school, at a certain point in life, I did not care about grades. I just cared about what do I know?
Right.
Yeah, and I just gave up on grades. I think it was junior year or senior year. I would still get a good grade anyways, but it was not my most important thing to do. Yeah, getting a 4.0, maintaining a 4.0, I was it was a stressful. I did not think it was the most important thing for me. I just thought, like, what do I know at the end of the day? So one time I was taking I think it was my thermodynamics class, where I was telling myself, okay, I'll just go to class. I attend class, and I try to know as much stuff as possible for that exam. And I'll go there. And of course, they'll give you an equation sheet and all of that. I wouldn't write anything down. And I wouldn't even study to begin with. I would just say, I'm going to trust my knowledge and trust my understanding of this class to go take an exam. I did that for exam 1, I did good. Exam 2, I did that. And I did not study as much. I did not write anything down, no equation sheet. People were looking at me like I was crazy. I was just walking inside an exam room with none of those things. I started taking my exam. I noticed that I knew stuff, but there were just a few tiny details
that you missed,
that I'm just ignoring. And I'm like, okay, I know this. This is one thing. I mean, engineering exams, they are not like, there are no like other, like I can say history and so on, right? Engineering exams, there are numbers and solving problems. But even with solving an equation, you need the tool. And that's actually a book that I'm writing right now on problem-solving methodologies.
Right.
Where you need tools, and those tools you need a recipe, and with that recipe directly, you would need, for example, that equation sheet over there that has some of those tiny and small details that you wrote down.
That can bring out the big details.
Details, right? That can actually bring you to
that enlightenment, understanding what you're missing.
So one thing that I ended up realizing is that I made an 83, 84 on that exam. No equation sheet, no nothing. Didn't study, just the knowledge from the class. And then the next exam, I was like, I gotta study. I better study. Let's try to see. And as I said, I didn't care about grades, right? It's an experience that now I'm capable to share with everybody that these things work. Is that now I went to study. I studied, and apart from studying, when I was studying, I was making the notes
On your cheat sheet.
On my cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Making all the details that I needed over there, and so on. And then I went to take the exam. I made about a 98 or 99. No, I actually made 100 on that exam. Yeah. I got everything right. And you could tell, you see, like here, you think like, okay, you are smart, you can get this, you can remember, and so on. And then you are, just basically doing B. B is not too bad, but it's still not actually what you should be targeting for. I grew up in an African Congolese family where my dad telling me that the people who get Bs, they are the first in a list of losers. So I didn't have a chance to actually bring a B at home. Right. When you bring a B at home, I mean, until I understood that these grades are for me and not for my dad. But until then, it was playing in my head all the time that I shouldn't be getting Bs. I should be getting As. And you can never reach perfection unless you actually write down clearly what you're supposed to do.
And thanks for sharing that, Adam. That doesn't only apply in school; it also applies in real life. You know, I've read a few biographies and I've seen a few successful people that we all admire. You know, Warren Buffett, Michael Jordan, Bill Gates, and all those big names that you can put out there, T.G. Diggs. And you realize one thing that's common among all of them: they have a written down vision. They know exactly where they're going. They know exactly what are the things that they need to learn. And it's so important for us to keep on learning about the things that we need to learn as people and as an individual. So one advice, start practicing writing. Think on paper. Try to clarify your thoughts. Whatever you have in your head, put them on a paper. Try to put a process and try to set priorities. As he said, the A1s. And then he mentioned something that's very interesting as well. He said that before you do anything, do the things that you must do first.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, if your one goal today is to go to the gym, before you do anything, if possible, go to the gym. If possible, to do it in the morning, do it in the morning. As a matter of fact, I think in Atomic Habit, I know this chapter in particular goes a lot in circle with Atomic Habits. But James Clear says something. He says in Atomic Habits, if you want to build an habit, and I'm actually reading a book as well by Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, they share the same principle. If you want to build a habit, let's say, for example, you want to be doing 100 push-ups a day. When you wake up in the morning, do 5 push-ups. Start with that. Break that fear. If you want to try to I'm a software engineer. If you want to try to be a better developer, learn to sit down on your computer and say, I'm not standing up until I've written these 10 lines of code. Once you've written that and you've gone past that hump, past that fear, the rest becomes a little easier. It doesn't become completely easy, but it becomes a lot easier than when you don't do anything about it. And now, moving on to the next chapter, it talks about focusing on key result areas. To avoid procrastination, try to focus on key result area. He asks one question, and I think for those who are out there working, maybe it's a good question to ask yourself, or if you're in school, I'll probably pose a different question. If you're working, why are you on payroll? What is the one thing you are being paid for? And if you can't define that, then there's a problem. Maybe ask your manager, what is the one thing am I being paid for? And how can I improve on that thing? And if you're in school, maybe the question should be, what am I in school for? You know, sometimes we tend to think that good grades are good. Actually, if you want to get a 4.0 GPA, one of my mentors, Dr. Donna O. Johnson Mackey, she wrote a wonderful book, The 4.0 Guaranteed GPA. And trust me, the method that she teaches in that book work. I tried them in my life and I've seen the result, the work. And what does she recommend? Write down. She recommends you to write down a schedule. She recommends you to take note in bullet points before you go to class, after class, and all that. Because writing down is just so important. Even the biblical teaching, I think it's actually the prophet Habakkuk who says that God tells him, write down the vision because the time is not yet there, but it's for a time to come. So writing is so important and we can't hammer hard enough on it to just make it stick. Take habit to start writing down things.
Yeah, and the other thing he mentioned that is the idea of clarity. When you ask the right question, like what am I being paid for here? Why am I even here? What's my point here? It brings you to start seeing things clearly, and it's the idea of seeing actually the outputs. He's saying know the most important outputs and make sure people around you approve of it. I'm gonna share an experience of this in my research actually. My boss, my advisor, Dr. Jones, she asks about that all the time. What are the results that you're looking for again here? What's your expected outcome? What are the metrics, the measurable quantities that you can get? We are engineers, right? A lot of, in scientific research, usually people just do observation. They're looking at stuff and observing something, and yeah, that's satisfactory enough for them to make conclusions. Engineers, we don't do that. We work with metrics. We work with numbers. Tell me what's the concentration of whatever. Tell me what are you looking for? What are you going to measure at the end of the day? What is your desired output? And that actually creates a clarity. It makes it clear. It makes easy to make choices that's now going to push out the procrastination.
Right. And one question I like here as we're finishing up this chapter, as we told you, these chapters are really small and then they're not. Like the lessons is teaching is between 2 to 4 pages, but applying them in your life kind of takes more time to start building new habits and breaking the old one. So one question he asks here, and I think this is one question we should ask ourselves, say, what is one skill? If I develop it and did it in an excellent fashion, we have the greatest positive impact on my career. What is that one thing that if you develop today, we have the greatest impact in your career? But think about it again this way. What is the one thing that you need to develop today to make a change in your life? Let's say, for example, your communication is not the greatest. How can you improve on your communication? Or your presentation skills are not the greatest, or your coding skill or your research skills are not the greatest. You realize that a lot of this stuff that we deal with in life are skills. And one thing about skills, and I think Adam and I were talking about it, and we talk about it more when we talk about the 15 laws of growth. There are things that can be taught. There are other things, sometimes it's just too late to teach them. I can get an employee and teach them the skills they need. I always tell Adam, I can teach you how to produce good quality audio. I can teach you how to play guitar. I can teach you how to do certain things that are skills. The one thing that is hard to teach is character. And when you think about your life, if you already develop a character, the character of integrity, the character of truthfulness, and things of that nature, now what are the skills that you need today to advance your career? Or if you don't have a job, what are the skills that the industry needs you to have in whatever field that you want to go and pursue?
And the other thing that he actually put here, and I related directly with business secrets from the Bible. He's talking about, as you say, like what is one thing that you're really good at and you can develop. And I think in the example, kind of the story he's talking about in the book, he's discussing of a lady who was working for a certain company, a certain corporation. And every time she would do a report or she would do things, and there was always an area in which she shined. And that was given to her as a responsibility at the end of the day. And that's actually something we're also trying to develop at Bora. The power of specialization. It's in Business Secrets from the Bible. Daniel Lapin, he talks about it as what actually drives the free market economy. And I mean, a lot of people disagree with the free market economy, but I'm a big fan of the free market economy.
Right.
I think it's the only thing that works, where people can exchange freely without a lot of interruptions from anyone. You have a product, there's a consumer, you can easily exchange. And with that, there's the idea of specialization, being good at something. And it's one thing that's in today's world, a lot of people are liking.
Yep.
What is that one thing you're really good at?
I think a lot of people fall into the jack of all trades, master of none. Like I know a whole lot of stuff, but there's not one thing specific that I can do or something specific that I know. And I think when you discover that, one thing you can do well, everything else in life seems to converge to it. I think we were talking about the alchemist before we started here. It's like when you are decided to grow, when you are decided to succeed, it feels like the alchemist says that the whole universe cooperates to help you.
Yeah.
When you discover that one thing that you can do, the whole universe seems to cooperate to help you achieve it.
Absolutely. And just jump forward to chapter 8 here is they apply the law of 3.
This is a powerful one. The law of 3. So the law of 3, it starts this by asking you one question. What are the 3 most important goals of your life right now? What are the 3 most important goals of your life right now? And then it goes on, it says that if you can spend 30 seconds writing down the 3 most important goals of your life, you are more likely to achieve those goals than if you do not have them written down. And then he asks a few questions here, and there's actually 7 of them. I'll read some of them. The first one is like, what are the 3 most important business or career goals that you have right now? The second one is about relationship and family. What are the 3 most important family and relationship goals you have right now? The third one is, what are the 3 most important financial goals that you have right now? The fourth one is, what are 3 most important health goals that you have right now? The fifth one goes about personal and professional development. What are the 3 important goals right now? And for some of us who who struggle with, I don't know how to write my goals, look at all those different areas: your business or your career, your family relationship, your financial goals, your health goals. And once you start breaking your goals in those categories, a lot of these goals overlap. Your career goals should not stop you from achieving your family relationship goals. The same way your financial goals should not stop you from achieving your educational goals. But if you don't know them, as a matter of fact, I remember this saying, I heard it in Kenya. They said that if you don't know where you're going, you won't even know when you get there, because you don't have a sense of direction. And one of the books that I wanted to write a long time ago, the title of the book was actually Compass. How do people get lost in life? We don't have a clear sense of direction. You don't even know what you want to do next week. You don't even know, leave alone what you want to do next year. I think Francis Chan or John Maxwell, one of them said that, a lot of us in America or in the world spend more time planning our vacation than we do planning our lives.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, Zig Ziglar goes through a whole list, a whole schooling to teach you about how to plan your life, the things that you want to achieve, when you want to achieve them. You are more likely to hit the bullseye that you do not see than to hit a bullseye that you do not have. You have more chances of hitting something you don't see than hitting something you don't have. If you don't have it, how do you plan on achieving it?
Absolutely. One thing that I'm going to push now from what Mark Alain just said there to now bring it down to actually getting things done. You can have your goals, you can write things down, and as we just talked in the previous chapter where we talk about ABCDE, and then going now here to where you have made the goals, something that he put here, and it's something that I've developed through all the years. And when I was actually reading that part, I was like, yeah, this is actually the secret. You say, do what you can with what you have and where you are.
I think that was Theodore Roosevelt that said it. Yeah, that he quoted.
Yeah. So that is very important. Doing what you have, doing what you can with what you have and where you are. That's actually how you get things done. To me, I have no other formula. It's simple. I make quick decisions. I don't wait. I don't think, if I tell you like, oh yeah, let me sleep on it, that means I won't do it. It's as simple as that.
I think that's one thing we were discussing before we started here. The biggest difference between Adam and I fall more on the perfection side, where I want things to be so good that I'll actually procrastinate because I don't think it's good enough. Adam, on the other hand, he goes with what he has, and it kind of brings in the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we started Bora Technology. The story of Bora actually, Bora has kind of two stories, right? There is the aspect where I was in college. Actually, yeah, it's the same story. It's very similar, actually. Because when we started Bora and I was still in college, that's when actually I was at this friend of mine's place. And I think she listened to us a lot. Her name is Bene. I was at Bene's house and I asked Bene for water, and she drinks only room temperature water. And I drink cold water. That's what I prefer better. And I was just looking at the bottle, turning it around, and I was like, why don't I just be walking around the refrigerator? Or if I have a water bottle into a refrigerator. The next day, actually, I found myself already starting to design it. What do I think? What should I put first? And I mean, it's still not real because there are a lot of constraints when it comes to engineering design of the very tiny refrigerator you can ever think of. And it's not using it's not an electrical system. It's actually a mechanical system, which is
using battery.
Yeah, using battery. So it's using battery to power a small motor, and that's motor to design that small motor. That's the hard part that we are struggling with right now. But we started like that. I was just, it's become something. But the story of Bora that we have now in Congo, I was at the gym. I just graduated from college, $0, no job. I just thought, what am I doing with my life right now? I've always had this idea of starting a company. Do I have a project? No. Do I know what we're going to be working on at this time? No. I only have one vision. I want to create a company that's in the next few generations, it's going to be the leading technology development company in Africa. That's all I knew. And when do I get that started? Now. Power of social media, I got on my WhatsApp. I wrote, we are hiring. I'm looking for 5 top engineers that's going to work on 3 electrical engineers and 2 mechanical engineers. People started applying.
People for a company that didn't exist
yet. A company that didn't exist yet. No company, nothing. We are hiring. No money. And now we are a company, actually. Today, I look at our directory, 19 of us working for Bora. Wow. It's an amazing thing. I was so happy. I was like, wow, what 19 of us over there, and everybody's doing their best. So it's...
That's great. Yeah, I've heard this joke on social media where they're saying that Google started in a garage and Microsoft started in a garage, as well as Apple. They all started in a garage. And then the person asked, what's your excuse? And someone answered, I don't have a garage yet. So you don't need a garage. Start with what you have, where you are.
Absolutely.
What does it say? How does it say it again? It says start with...
do what you can with what you have and where you are.
And that's so powerful, and that's very impactful. The ninth step, it talks about in order to avoid procrastination. I believe is one of the most important one. I mean, all of them are equally important to some extent, but this one has helped me personally. It said prepare thoroughly before you begin. Again, being a perfectionist, you know how much I struggle with the preparation of having everything clean and everything the way I want it to be before I begin. But that helps a lot that when you begin, you no longer have an excuse. As a matter of fact, James T. McKay says that no matter what the level of your ability, you have more potential that you can ever develop in a lifetime. Regardless of your current ability, you have a lot more potential that you can ever develop in a lifetime. Preparing thoroughly is important. I'll give you one strategy, for example, that helps me to avoid procrastination. When you sit on your desk and you're about to write, I also do a lot of writing every now and then. And one of the stuff that you struggle with when you sit down to write is to start thinking about everything else that you should be doing but writing. You sit down to write, it's like, I was supposed to call mom. Then you pick up your phone, you call mom. And you sit back down to working, Adam sent me this email I haven't responded to. Then you sit back down, you send back a response to email. In your head, you keep on procrastinating because you do not want to eat your frog. So it suggests that, what if you sit down and you say, what are the things that are most important to do right now? Okay, I need to respond to Adam email. I need to call mom. I need to send back the bills or to pay back this bill. You do all those stuff that when you start doing what you're supposed to do, you are only doing what you're supposed to do. And then the other thing that has helped me as well is designing the space for doing what you want to do. Trust me, it works. When I want to focus on work, I clean up my desk. I remove every single book on my desk. I remove every single thing that does not relate to work. And when I sit on my desk, I no longer have those distractions. And one of the things that I do, the perks of working from home sometimes, you are within the reach of your bedroom, your bathroom, and everything is within. You are in a comfortable space. But sometimes the danger as well, you struggle with concentration. So one of the things sometimes I do is just move my phone to the other room. I leave my phone in the other room. My guitar, I'm learning the guitar, and sometimes I'm so tempted to play it because it's easy and I want to do it instead of working. So I move my guitar out to the living room, and that gives me enough space where everything around me revolves around work. And the only thing my mind is thinking of at that moment is work. You want to develop a habit of going to the gym? Why are you keeping your shoes in your closet somewhere you cannot see them? Put them right by your bed. When you wake up, the first thing you see, your shoes. Again, we talk about it more when we talk about atomic habits.
Absolutely. The other thing I want to add over there is actually this chapter, when I was going through it and when I read it, I took it very personally because it's kind of funny that the chapter 1 of my book is actually there, the book that I'm actually writing. Here he said, prepare thoroughly before you begin. To me, I actually set all your ingredients, shop for your ingredients. That's what I was saying.
Before you start cooking.
So that's my problem solving kind of. It 10 cents on my problem solving. I'm excited about that book, to be honest. I've been trying to get on it. This podcast has been a blessing to me because it's motivated me to even just, bring out a lot of the things that were just hidden inside of me and just bring it out and share it with the world. And I started writing that book on problem-solving methodology, and it says one of the things he said in the book, in this book actually, in Eat That Frog, that is actually chapter 1 of my book. Is it says set all the ingredients and clear up the space and remove everything else. Remove the distractions, remove everything. Just focus on that frog you're about to eat at that time. Focus on that one thing. It says gather all the materials you need from reports, material, put them within hands. So to have, everything on the counter. That's actually the concept I use on my book. I talk about puts all the ingredients on the counter in such a way that you can see where all of them are. Each one of them, your onions, your, garlic, anything for you to create to use in your recipe has to be within reach. If you have to be looking for it here and there, that's mean you're not ready to actually start cooking and to start making following the recipe that you're supposed to be following.
Right.
And that's why he has here. The other thing that I got from here is make the works area comfortable. Make it a place where you can actually just enjoy being there. Actually, I was telling Mark that I'm one of those people who I get to action right after. I don't do like, let's wait, let's sleep on it, all that. I don't do that. After I read that line in that book, the first thing I did, if you look at my desk right now,
clean it up.
It's cleaned up. The coffee mug that was there, it's already stored at a specific place. My nail clippers were hanging around on my desk somewhere. They are not there anymore. My colleagues probably can tell on this and can testify. When you look at my desk right now, everything is cleared up. The only things I have there right now is my 2 computers and my monitors. That's all I have there right now.
And that's so powerful because, and I know, speaking about this, I know that not everybody has an opportunity to afford things like this. Even Adam and I, where we are, sometimes we don't have the space that we need, the big space that we need. But one thing that also helps, separate your areas for different tasks. I'll give you an example. Since Plamidi and I got married, I took one decision. I will not bring my computer to the bedroom. Because every time I bring my computer to the bedroom, I'm tempted to work. I'm tempted to write. I'm tempted to research. I'm tempted to design every single time. And I started struggling with insomnia early before we got married. And one thing that helped me a lot was to keep my bedroom for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you live in a space where you don't have a whole lot of movement, have different areas in your room where you know, okay, the bed is to sleep. The little corner is to pray. This little corner is to read. This little corner is to work. And I think, Adam, you mentioned that last time, where you have this specific chair in your house that when you sit on that chair, you know this is my reading chair.
Absolutely.
And this helps you, actually, it helps your brain to prepare in advance to know that when I go to these specific corners to study. And that's one thing that helped me a lot in college. I love going to the library to study. And it always felt, I don't know, it was weird. Like every time I walked into the library, I was motivated to study. Because I didn't know that subconsciously I had made the library as a sanctuary for studying. So when I was in the library, I'll turn off my phone, I'll focus on books, just the books around me, and sitting there being focused to study was just amazing.
The other thing here that I find very important in this book is because when he talks about prepare thoroughly before you begin, and then again you might fall on the trap of perfection.
Exactly.
Where you can, okay, now you start pushing back, oh, I'm missing this and I'm missing that.
Yep.
What he say is apply the 80-20 rule over here. Actually, he spoke about the 80-20 rule the entire book. Almost every chapter is mentioning 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
And in this specific case, he say that make sure that 80% of things are right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing, you can start correcting them later.
Yep.
Just whenever 80% of the conditions are met,
you move on with it.
You move on with it.
Yep.
It's simple. For people who've done actually statistics, there are a few things that they call like confidence intervals, right?
Yep.
And those things are, they tell you like, okay, within how much confidence do you have this data?
It even counts the same thing, Adam, to when we talk about vaccines. You know, people say, well, this COVID vaccine killed this person. Yes, that person just fell within the margin of error. You know, but how much success are we having? I'm not here to talk about COVID vaccine. You know, if you believe in it, take it. If you don't believe in it, don't take it. That's your personal decision. But we are trying to make a statistical argument here.
Significance.
Significance.
That's how usually that's the concept they use, statistical significance. And it's very important to be within a certain margin.
Right.
The other stuff, you can be fixing particular cases on as they come and you meet them. The other thing he mentioned that to me was important is like have a motto. A lot of people who watch Grey's Anatomy, tons of fans out there. There's a Derek with the doctor in Grey's Anatomy. Before he starts surgery, every time he will say, "It's a good day to save lives."
Yep.
And it's actually, I've seen that on mugs. I've seen that. Everyone who's pre-made and whatever, they would just use that as a motto, right? It's a good day to save lives. And there is something actually we use at Bora, and I repeat that to everybody who worked for Bora, is that engineering a better Africa. We keep that. Every time I want to give up, I'm like, yeah, we are engineering a better Africa all the time. So it's a drive for me to actually make that's change, the change that I need, and it's kind of just driving me, having the motto to achieve whatever it is that I'm trying to get.
And I think here on Unbounded Growth, we say inspiring growth and growing leaders.
Absolutely.
That's what we aim for. We just want to inspire your growth. We want to encourage you and be your partner in your personal growth and development. But we also want to raise the leaders of tomorrow.
Absolutely. That's the goal that we have here. The last thing that on this chapter that I found important, and again we have talked about it, when he say that neatness helps you improve your confidence, and that is so true. Actually, that's small things, and that's why Atomic Habits was just such an amazing book. That, I mean, we're gonna talk about it here, but if you can get a head start to start reading it. Go for it. That book will actually change your life.
Especially if you're trying to build some new habits and quit some old habits, go for it.
One of the things in Atomic Habits, actually, that he's actually saying, she said, like, we develop habits for actually what it makes us become, what we feel, that adrenaline rush. Mm-hmm. That's in this case here, getting that adrenaline rush in you of satisfaction after you have accomplished the goal that you have. And he said that neatness, helps you improve your confidence level. Imagine, think about when you look good, when you're going out. You look good, you smell good, your shoes are clean, like you have white sneakers are really clean. Mm-hmm. You're wearing a nice, clean shirt. Everything on you is just nice and clean. Mm-hmm. Think about how you feel at that time. And now associate that to your work environment, everything you do at work, your organization of your computer, everything, like where your files are, and so on. Think about that and think about when you're dressing up to go out. And you can find a correlation between those two things, and you'll see how that gets you confidence.
And I think Dr. David, I don't remember his name, the author of The Magic of Thinking Big, talks a lot about it. When he talks about how to improve self-confidence, he talks about, walking, for example, a little faster than you usually do, having your chest up high when you're shaking someone's head, fixing them in the eyes, and just speaking, training yourself to speak louder will actually help you increase your confidence. And that part of neatness is important. When you neat and you clean, you feel more confident and you feel a little more attractive. Now, it goes on to the 10th step to avoid procrastination. It says, take it one old barrel at a time. In other words, take it one step at a time. Now, that's very important, especially if you struggle with perfectionism like I do. Sometimes we wait for all the lights to be green in order to leave the house. And I think Zig Ziglar said, if you ever wait for all the lights to be green before you leave the house, you'll never leave. You take one light at a time. You move one step at a time. Just do as much as you can do. I don't know who said it, but he said that go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see farther. And that's what Adam did when he started with Bora Technology. He didn't want to have all the solution day one. He said, no, well, first step, we need to hire people if we need to build a company.
The team.
and building that team, that initial team. And he was sharing with me how everybody from that team came with a dream. And the whole dream created Bora Technology, which is today engineering a better Africa. So you don't need to have all the pieces of the puzzle figured out. Just use the pieces that you have one step at a time until you get to where you need to get.
Absolutely. And you put it so well. You put it in a really good perspective. It's just that the power of the first step, of making the first move. Once you've made the first move, everything else just seems to be working like in your favor. And I think in the Alchemist, it was basically, that's kind of the summary of the Alchemist, is that the story. He had this kind of his personal, how is it called? Personal omen? That's how they use the concept they use there. Yeah, and he said that whenever you have that kind of personal, your purpose in life, whenever you've discovered that and you've made the first step, then the universe is going to come together for you. And he talks about the principle of favorability. I love that, actually. In The Alchemist, he talks about the principle of favorability, which he says that it's also the principle that other people call beginner's luck. And it's just that once you made the first step, once you've read the first thing, usually actually you get it. The first thing you actually do, the very first thing, you never played that cards game, you never done anything like that before. That's how people become addicted, right?
And
yeah.
Go ahead.
So the very first thing, the very first time you do it, it becomes favorable. It's like the odds. It's like people go to gamble in Vegas.
Right.
You try for $20 and you win 80. Beginner's luck. It's always there. So when you've made the first step, then it looks like almost like the universe is in your favor. And then after that, you're just going to be making for the next step, and people now are trusting you. And now you're not working by yourself anymore. You have 2 or 3 people joining in with you, and you're not moving forward. That's actually for entrepreneurs, just one sense on entrepreneurship right there.
Exactly. And the other thing is, once you get past that fear of the first step, then you realize one thing. That first step doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be your best step. It just has to be the first.
Absolutely.
Because if you ever want to get good at anything, you need to start. And until you start, you will not get good at it. Until you start practicing the guitar, until you start playing the drums, until you start, facing that mathematical problems or your chemistry problems, or until you start, reaching out to your boss and telling them things that you need to tell them. Until you make that first step, you'll never be able to move past your fear. And that says a lot about public speaking. A lot of people fear public speaking than public speaking itself.
Exactly.
It's the fear of public speaking has taken them so much that they are not even able, that speaking in public is not as scary as the fear they have of it. So sometimes just going beyond that first step, saying, hey, I did it. And it's kind of an encouragement. Even if you're out there trying to start a YouTube channel, there's this guy I watch on YouTube. I think his name is Abinal or something like that. He's a med student. He was a med student out of Cambridge University in London. And he talks about, are you afraid to start a YouTube channel? He said, well, go on your phone, click upload video, film yourself and say, this is my first video. I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. And say, stop. 5 seconds. Going beyond that fear, we actually help you achieve your dream. I met today a guy that I know, but I never knew his story. He wanted to become an entrepreneur, and I asked him, I was like, how did you move? His name is actually Redi Yenga with RGTV television, I believe. I asked him, how did you move past that fear? He said, one day I woke up, I thought about it, and I decided to quit my job. He said, once I quit my job, my brain had to think about solutions to keep on providing for, your survival instinct kicked in. And now he had to spend more time learning videography, more time reading about books and stuff like that, which even actually leads us to the step number 11, which is chapter 11. And I think we are probably going to stop on that today, where it talks about upgrading your skills. It's funny to think about how with upgrading my skills stop me from procrastinating. Actually, not upgrading your skills will push you to procrastinate every single time.
Absolutely. And that's so as just coming from that, from making the first step, where you are there because of beginner's luck. You were just like, you're a lucky beginner. People use that concept a lot, but I understood it better when I read The Alchemist, where it's like, it's beginner's luck. It's like all the odds come together in your favor when you are at the beginning. And then after that, that's actually when the struggles come in. That's when actually, I use an example for gambling before, so I'm just going to make another statement on gambling here, where, you made the first cash, and now you are trapped there. And now you need to learn. You're losing money. And now you're learning, like, the real thing. The real pain of gambling. And it is the same thing here, where, now you have become lucky. And a lot of people, something I struggled with a lot when I was in college, one of my professors told me that I get comfortable. I get too comfortable. And that's why I actually work with others, so they can actually grill me into not getting comfortable. And he say, I can be good at one thing. One of the things that I do a lot in my company is connecting people with others. I know who does what. I know who's good at what. I have spent enough time, personal time, with each one of the people who work for Bora to know, how do they think? What do they feel about this? What do they feel about that? I know them at the personal. We are a small company, right? 19 people. 19, it's easy for me to know 19 people. So like,
agreed.
Yeah, you go, I talk to them, I have conversation with them. And with that, I would know what can I learn from them? Mm-hmm. How can I upgrade myself from working to this person to working with this person? And how together how do we get to the level where we are actually now good at something else that is bigger than the very first step. And something he put over here, he said that what others you have to look at what others have learned and feel or think that you can also learn that. That it's not impossible for you to learn and to upgrade yourself to that level. The other thing he add here, he say that you have to think about upgrading yourself in such a way that your special talent, because as we talked previously, that you have something that like your special talent, that's one thing that you are really good at. It doesn't just stay stagnant. And that's where I got trapped when I was in grad school. I got a B in a class of numerical analysis. It wasn't numerical analysis. I think it was differential equations in grad school. That class was, all my grad school classes, most of them were really hard. It was, especially my math class in grad school was just
it's mechanical engineering.
It was hard. and I was having an A in the class.
Right.
I was doing great. Then some things happened in my life. There's a few changes that happened that I had to adjust to really quickly. And it just happened 1 week before the final exams. So now I'm thinking about all this much and now I'm creating a lot of excuses and so on. And then I go take my final exam. I make, I think, a 50 something or 60, around like less than average, or less than actually what I make regularly. And I was I think the top of the second top student in the class. And now I find myself almost at the bottom. And my teacher looks at me, told me that, Adam, you get too comfortable. Whenever you think that you know something,
you stop learning.
You stays there. You stop learning. And when you stop learning, now look, it's not the situation that you just went through.
It's the comfort.
It's the comfort that you created by thinking that since I did this great at the beginning, if I maintain the same conditions, then at the end, I should also be able to do the same thing. And since it's in that case and in that scenario, then you feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, you are not growing at all and you are not accomplishing anything major.
And I think that we talked about it again. If you haven't listened to the 12 pillars, we talk intensively about it, about the importance of keeping yourself growing, the importance of improving on your skills, the importance of reaching out to your goals. It's very important. And one thing he says here that's very encouraging. He says that everything is learnable. And what others have learned, you can learn as well.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter whether it's time management, mathematics, whatever frog scares you. People have learned to eat frogs. You can learn to actually roast your frog, eat it like kebab it, whatever you need to do with your frog, you can learn to do it. And then he gives 3 steps to mastery, which I want to share as we finish up this chapter today. We just crossed the top of the hour here. He says that if you want to master anything in your field, the first thing you want to read at least 1 hour every day about your field. Adam was sharing last time about his 30 minutes for Congo. He read so much about how things work in Congo that he actually pushed him to create a company there. So if you want to improve in your skill, are you reading at least an hour, or are you spending at least an hour learning about your field? The second one he talks about is take every course and every seminar available on the key skills that can help you. Now, in order for you to take seminars and courses available on the skills, you need to know what are the skills that you're trying to improve. If you're trying to become a better surgeon, if you're trying to become a better doctor or a better researcher, a better spouse, what are the things that you need to learn today that will help you improve that? What are the seminars that are available? If you're in real estate, what are the seminars? I would think about it. Some people in real estate, we sell 2 houses a year. And then some people, we sell 200 houses a year. And then you wonder, where's the difference? Now, the question 200, maybe that's over exaggerating, but I think, you get the picture. The point is, the people who sell less should probably learn from the people who sell more.
As simple as that.
As simple as that, If someone is having good grades in your class, or someone is advancing in career or work, sometimes it doesn't hurt to reach out to the person and ask them, what is it that you are doing differently that I can also adapt in order for me to get to that thing? And the third thing it talks about, and I think you're already doing it by listening to this podcast, it say, listen to audio programs in your car, public transportation, in your walk, when you're going to the gym, when you're exercising. Listen to audio programs. It's important. In America, back in the days, it said that people used to sit between 500 to 1,000 hours a year while driving from place to place, especially in Texas. I believe that's very possible. Absolutely. Especially in the DFW. You easily spend 500 hours a year. I know Adam drives a lot.
Yeah.
and Adam and I, we live like an hour apart from each other. And if coming to my house, he has to drive for an hour. Going to work, he has to drive for like 45 minutes. And that's like Monday through Friday. So every day, Adam has to drive for at least an hour and a half. When you use public transportation in Zambia, I have a few friends in Zambia. They always complain about the traffic. I have a few friends in Kinshasa, DRC. They always complain about the traffic all the time. Even in New York, like the subway is great, but you still spend all that time commuting, even if it's half an hour. Think about it. If you spend half an hour every single day listening and learning about something, within 5 years, I believe you can start having confident conversation about the subject.
Absolutely.
Because you understand what exactly you are talking about. So it's with that we'll be closing today. Adam, and any additional thought before we?
No, I think that's been a good hour. I really had a good time sharing these things with you all. Every podcast, every episode always challenges myself actually to do better for next week. And it's been amazing actually being around here, and I can't believe this is our 5th episode now.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy that how fast time is going by, and just going through some of these books that we've read before, and we are reading it to share what we've learned there. And reapplying these concepts, some of them that we already forgot about, but reapplying them is just amazing on how much improvement you are making in your life. I'm in school right now, and one of my biggest problems is that I always like doing things last minute. And at the beginning of this week, just sitting down and planning my schoolwork actually helped me achieve a lot of things earlier than I thought I could have done, simply because I spent time to plan it. So we are going to leave you with this. Why don't you today try to sit down and think about your goals for your family, your personal development, your work, your studies. What are the 3 most important goals that you want to achieve right now? Write them down and try to think about, who do you want to be? Because who you are will eventually determine what you do.
Absolutely.
Who do you want to be? If you want to be a doctor, a medical doctor, I don't think you're going to mechanical engineering. Who you want to be will determine what you do on a daily basis. So think about who you want to be. Write it down and start working on yourself. Grow a better you every day. And let's raise leaders together. Have a wonderful week. Do not forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel if you want to keep up to date with all the notifications every time we have a new episode that airs. We are on all the podcasting platform and on Instagram. Thank you for massively enrolling there and keeping up. We always have some challenging questions that we put out there, some beautiful quotes that can help you think, meditate, or reflect on. So don't forget to join us out there, and if you lack anything on this content, send us our feedback. Anything we can improve, anything we can work on, we are always welcoming feedback here.
All right, thank you so much.
You have a wonderful week, and God bless you.